Oh, and welcome to Save Your Sanity. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. In this episode, we're going to be talking about stop getting your exercise by walking on eggshells. And that's a pretty permanent condition for some people. It's exhausting. You can't ever get it right. You're always wondering what you're going to be blamed for. You're running as fast as you can. You don't get any praise. You don't get any approval. You don't get any validation. You only hear what's wrong. And then every now and again, a hijackal or a narcissistic person will be really nice to you because they really want something, and you'll get hopeful. But then you will walk on eggshells again because you don't want them to stop being nice to you. And they're always making things your fault. You cannot please them, and yet you keep on trying. They don't try. They keep on demanding and insisting that you meet their expectations. Have you noticed that? You're the one who's doing all the work. And in that situation, it'll never be satisfying. It'll never be equal. So it's very important to stop getting your exercise by walking on eggshells. So stay tuned and hear why and what to do about it. Are you in a crazy-making relationship? Feel anxious, angry, and unsafe? Welcome to Save Your Sanity. Insight, skills, strategies, and inspiration for emerging empowered from toxic relationships and breaking the bonds of emotional abuse. Keep listening. We'll figure a few things out. Have you noticed that when you're with a hijackal, that's my term for people who hijack relationships for their own purposes and needs, and then they scavenge them for power, status, and control. So have you ever noticed how they tell you they want one thing, and then when you give it to them, they tell you you're too late, or they tell you that it wasn't exactly what they wanted? So they are always moving the markers. You can never get it right. And so you are perhaps always trying if you haven't given up yet. And so that's what I mean when I say that you're getting your exercise walking on eggshells. Is it safe to walk here or there, or very carefully or very tentatively? Is it safe to speak up? Is it safe to have a request? Is it safe to talk about anything that is on my mind? Very, very often it isn't. You feel very much like you don't exist and they take up all the space. And you find yourself running as fast as you can while on the eggshells, endeavoring to make circles that will allow them the opportunity to tell you that you're good, that you're loved, that you're wanted. And they make a practice of not telling you that so that you will keep on trying. Does that sound at all familiar? I'm going to give you seven signs that you are walking on eggshells for your exercise. And maybe you haven't thought about them in quite these ways. And that's important to do now. You choose how you exercise, right? You choose when you exercise. And if you have found yourself in a relationship where you've just realized that you are constantly walking on eggshells, and that's not what you had in mind, then it's important to think about these 7 things. Now, the first one is that you're anxious at the very thought of seeing them. You're going home from work and you think, oh, how are they going to be? What are they going to want? What have I not done? Have I done everything they wanted me to do? What will they demand? Will they go along with the plans they made yesterday? Or will those plans have changed? What will they have told themselves about me in their minds that had nothing to do with me? And then they're pretending that what they thought is what actually happened. You've had that experience, right? Where they made up a whole scenario in their head, lived it out, and then blamed you for it, and you weren't even part of it. So you will find yourself getting anxious at the thought of seeing them. You'd like to feel excited about it, but even if you're a little excited, you're more anxious than anything. And that's no way to live. That's certainly not indicative of a loving relationship by any stretch of the imagination. Not at all. So it's important to recognize that if you have those anxious thoughts and you're wondering, should I rush home? Will they be angry if I don't rush home? Am I taking longer than I should? Am I drawing attention to myself and they're going to notice? All of that anxiety. You probably have never drawn attention to yourself, but they have blamed you for trying. That kind of thing goes on when you're with a hijackal, because no matter how arrogant some of them seem to be, they are very, very insecure. And so they pass that along and it becomes anxiety for you. So that's a big sign that you are with someone who's causing you to walk on eggshells. The second one is that you're constantly questioning, am I the problem? And why are you asking that question? Well, you're being told so frequently that you're wrong, that you did things incorrectly, you didn't do them well enough, you're not good enough, you shouldn't take up space, maybe you're a waste of breath. And they start asking you to question yourself because they are constantly questioning you. Healthier humans do question themselves. That's absolutely a good thing. Be self-reflective. Go and ask yourself, are these things actually occurring? And am I part of it? And what's my part of it? And am I being who I want to be? Am I living in integrity with my values? Certainly ask yourself those things. That's part of being a healthier human. But if you find yourself saying, I must be the one with the problem, I'm not trying hard enough, I am unaware, I need to scurry around to try and keep this person happy or meet their expectations, and you are constantly thinking, I must be the one with the problem because you're being told you're the one with the problem. And they tell you you're not doing things well or well enough. And you are healthy enough to be self-reflective, but they're telling you you're not doing anything well enough to get their approval. Not only is that crazy making and anxiety producing, but it is also a hallmark of walking on eggshells because you're just waiting to be told you're wrong. Number 3 is you're afraid to be honest about your thoughts and feelings, your needs and your wants, because they don't want to hear them. They're going to put you down. They're going to diminish or even discount what your thoughts and feelings, needs and wants are, because it's all about them.com. That's all that matters, is what they need, what they want, their mood at the moment. That's their focus. That's what they care about, themselves. So you're going to be questioning, do I have a part in this relationship, or am I just supposed to be invisibly supporting them? Now, yes, hijackals think that's what you're supposed to do and like it. Be really happy they let you. That's not good. It is really not good. It is not healthy. And it's unnecessary because it's exhausting. How many things would you do forever if you knew you could never get them right? Most people would move on and do something else. Try something different. So if we get stuck walking on these eggshells, you can give your life away to it. Many people do. They find that they're giving their life away to the narcissistic needs of someone else. And I talked about that just a few weeks ago on an episode. Make sure that you take advantage of all the episodes that are there for you, and find them. You can find them all at SaveYourSanityPodcast.com, SaveYourSanityPodcast.com. It's a good place to do a search because it's only my podcast episodes that are there. So it's a bit easier to search, but you can find that. So if you're constantly questioning whether you're the problem, in the beginning, that's healthy. But when it's become constant, it is not healthy. They are pushing you to a place where there is so little left of you that you are not taking up your allotted space. And it should be fairly equal space in the relationship. So there's two signs that you're walking on eggshells. And the third is, as I said, you're afraid to be honest about your thoughts and feelings. And they'll say things. You will say that you are thinking about something. They'll say, "Oh, that's foolish," or what you ask for something. What would you want that for? Or you say something's a problem to you. Okay, nothing but problems. That's all you ever see. That's all you ever bring up. Stop complaining. Why don't you get it together? Or they'll just tell you straight out that you're crazy. And they're happy to do that because they think it gives them power and control over them. But remember this, it only gives them the power and control over you that you let them have. And that's a dicey equation because in the beginning you think, oh, we'll work this out. I'll give a little more and they'll catch up. And I did that episode not long ago about stop going the extra mile for a narcissist. But you get into that place where you think, oh, this will be all right. And when you realize that it is never all right, that is a tipping point. And you need to be aware when you hit that tipping point that you start to be oh so grateful for the very few moments that they're nice or loving or approving or at least neutral and benign. And most of the time it's miserable. Notice that. Certainly we're going to have disagreements with people. We're not going to have the same desires or the same needs at the same time. But when you notice that you don't count at all and you're having any thoughts about what you need or what you want or how you'd like to change things or how you'd like things to turn out, and they have no interest in it, notice that. Notice that it has gone from any sense of we're in it together to you're supposed to take care of me. And I am the one that matters and you don't matter. It's hard to see that. You don't want to see that. I know that. You want to go the extra mile. But it is important to see it because you will be miserable. But it's also important to see it if you have children because they're seeing it too. And they're thinking it's all right because you're still there letting it be all right. So you have another reason to look at this very carefully if you have children in a relationship that's difficult. Or maybe the relationship that's difficult is a relationship with a parent. And then maybe you've bought into, well, they gave me birth. No, once you all become adults, there are some adults you don't want to be near. And that could, in fact, be your parents or your siblings or your grandparents or any other adult. And that equalizes the playing field. You don't allow people to keep you walking on eggshells once you realize that you're allowing people keeping you walking on eggshells. No, not going to do that anymore. So number 4 of these 7 I want to share with you is you resent your partner and then you tell yourself, that's not nice. Nice people don't resent people. There must be something wrong with me. We're back to that place again. And so you've started a circular conversation with yourself that I actually acknowledge that I resent something, and then I beat myself up for not being nice because I resent something. In fact, where you ought to be putting the emphasis is, how am I being treated that gives me the feeling of resentment? Because if you're only allowed to speak up when they ask you to, you will be very quiet for a long time, because they want to take up all the oxygen in the room and all the airtime, and everything needs to be about them eventually, if not immediately. And I know, believe me, I know, we don't want to think there are people like that. We just don't. I have clients in many countries around the world, so I know that it's very universal. People say, but I don't want to believe that there are people who behave like that. I understand that. Please believe there are people like that. And you have decisions to make about those people, because it's not your job to take care of them. You didn't break them. You can't fix them. And hanging around thinking that, well, they deserve love too, so I don't matter. I'll just stay here. No, not a good look, not a good idea, definitely not a good model for your children. So when you find that you have resentment, look at it, open it up. Okay, resentment, it means that I have an underlying negative reaction to being mistreated or wronged. I feel like I've been mistreated or wronged, and I resent that. What is it that the mistreatment, the feeling wronged? And then catch yourself if you are able to identify it, and then you say, oh, I shouldn't feel like that. That's not nice. Because then you're back in that circular conversation with yourself. And that will never get you out of the loop of being with someone who wants to keep you walking on eggshells in an attempt to keep them happy. Now, remember, they're dedicated to withholding their approval. So you trying to get them to tell you that what you're doing is good is also circular, because they're dedicated to never telling you what it is that is good, because they always want more. So you are allowed to speak up. You're allowed to talk about what you see and what you think and what you feel and what you need, and that you have boundaries, and those boundaries can be expressed. And those boundaries expressed can have consequences, and they can be non-negotiable consequences, and you can take action. A hijackal will say, absolutely not. Nobody treats me that way. But healthier humans know that. They know that they can speak up. Boundaries are good. And if you're with somebody who will not respect your boundaries, and that's every hijackal in the world, then you need to have a good look at, why am I feeling resentment? Because I do have a negative emotional reaction attached to feeling mistreated or wronged. And when you can see that you continuously are feeling mistreated and wronged, then you have a hope of identifying the specific behaviors. And that's important. And it brings you back to focusing on the mistreatment, as opposed to focusing on, oh, I shouldn't feel resentful. If I were a good person, I wouldn't feel resentful, because nice people don't feel resentful. Have you had that thought? Have you said that to yourself? Most people who are with hijackals have. And it keeps them caught and stuck. So it's very important to notice it. So we have 4 signs now that you're with somebody who wants you to walk on eggshells. The 5th one is you're constantly second-guessing yourself. Did I say that? They just told me I said that. Did I say that? Or, that's not the way I thought it happened. I thought it happened this way. And they tell you you're crazy. You don't listen. You have no memory. Or you speak up and you say that hurt, and they say you're too sensitive, and you second guess yourself. Oh, am I too sensitive? Should I not be speaking up when I'm hurt? And they cause you to second guess yourself and question your sanity. That's why the podcast is called Save Your Sanity. And if you enjoy and find value in this podcast, I am always so grateful when people go to patreon.com/saveyoursanity and show their support financially. It really helps, and it lets me know that you are finding value. Patreon.com/saveyoursanity. So if you find yourself second guessing yourself and you start thinking they must be right, I must be a terrible person. Oh, I hope some big alarm goes off at that moment and you say, crooked thinking, crooked thinking. I've now started to give more weight to what they say than I'm giving to what I think and feel. And that will put you in imbalance that will definitely have you constantly second guessing yourself. You can hear just as I say that, that's an awful way to live. You're always living with misgivings. You're always on the lookout for, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You're always retreating. You're always making yourself smaller when you are, in fact, when you're second guessing yourself. Be aware of your strengths. Be aware that you deserve to take up space and draw breath on this planet. And nobody has the right to tell you that you don't, or to make you feel less than, or that you are taking up too much space on the planet. It will happen. And that's what hijackals do. That's how they hope to maintain power over you. Now, number 6 is that you will experience emotional fatigue. It's just too much. It's too much to think about. It's too much to stand up to. It's too hard. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't have anything left. I don't feel like I have any control or power over what's happening in the relationship. I think I'll just lie down here and become a doormat to the hijackal. That's emotional fatigue. And it leads to more and more problems because you've given up on you. You've given up on your values, your vision for your life, your beliefs, your goals, your mission, your plans, your dreams. And they're not shared. It's not as though you've got this very exciting collaboration going on with another person, that you have modified those things and you've collaborating with somebody to create a wonderful life. No, you've given up because they're not valued. You're not valued. And you've gotten so little feedback of any positive nature, and so much feedback that's told you that you don't deserve to even speak about what you want. And who cares anyway? Because it's all about the hijackal, right? I know. It's hard to believe that people behave like this, but they do. And far too many of them. So yes, sure, give people the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. Go the extra mile. Try it out. But then come back and recognize that I am doing all of the giving here and they are doing all of the taking. I'm getting smaller and smaller. They're getting larger and larger, and they're putting me down constantly. And I have to recognize I'm now letting them. I am so emotionally exhausted and fatigued that I just have given up all control. So you got to pick yourself up and say, no, I'm going to stand up again and I'm going to take back my space. And number 7 is really important. You're walking on eggshells too long and too much if you feel like a shell of who you are. You feel like you've lost your identity, you've lost yourself, you've lost that separateness that makes you you, and everything is now focused on the hijackal. It's what they want, it's what they need, it's what they will accept. It's doing it their way. It's trying to avoid them being unhappy. they're going to be withholding things from you. And so it's all about their ability to manage the situation, control the situation, and you feel lost. Who am I really anymore? I don't do the things that I enjoy anymore because my partner complains when I do them. I don't go with my friends anymore because my partner blows up my phone the entire time I'm there, so I don't enjoy myself, and I have all that anxiety that I spoke about in number 1. And slowly, or maybe quite quickly, you've given up your identity, the things that are important to you, the things that have value, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you enjoy, in order to try and make this other human happy. And that other human, that hijackal human, is dedicated to never being happy because they are refusing to allow you the satisfaction of helping them be happy. So they're going to withhold that from you. So you get that lost feeling. Like, have I given up myself completely trying to make a hijackal happy? Hijackals are dedicated to taking all of your energy and never being happy. I know it's exhausting to even think about, and it's disappointing. But these are very important things. There are many, many more signs, but I wanted to share these 7 with you in this episode because it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to get your exercise from walking on eggshells around a hijackal, trying to keep them happy, trying not to upset them, trying not to create uproar, trying not to set them off. It's awful. And you know, in episode 115, the 3 must-haves of a healthy adult relationship, equality, reciprocity, and mutuality, are totally unavailable in a relationship with a hijackal. Totally unavailable. Therefore, you're running after something that you will never catch, and they're dedicated to having it be that you will never catch them. Because to have those 3 must-haves, equality, reciprocity, and mutuality, both partners have to either have it, give it, or be willing to work on it. And if that isn't the case, it's not going to happen. And if you find yourself in that situation and you'd like to talk to me, I offer a new client one-time offer of a full hour session with me for only $97. And you can do that at beaclient.com. Beaclient.com. And I'd love to talk with you about it and see what's particular and specific to your situation to help you out with that. And if you prefer to do it in a group setting, then you can come over and join my emerging empowered community at joinintoday.com. joinintoday.com. Great things over there. And your membership includes 3 group calls a month with me to ask your questions. So it's a good thing. So are you getting a sense now that maybe you could find a little energy to pick yourself up and say, no, I am no longer going to walk on the eggshells and think it's acceptable. I want equality, mutuality, and reciprocity. And as hijackals have no interest in that, you'll have to look somewhere else. So maybe it's time to make that decision. I know it's difficult. Major change like that is difficult. But let's talk. Because I always encourage people to strengthen themselves to get ready to emerge from a relationship. So they're emerging empowered as they leave the relationship, not after. So let's get to work on that soon. If you've identified that you are getting your exercise walking on eggshells, I hope that you will look for another way to get your exercise that has more return to you, as opposed to giving everything away. And until we speak again, take very good care of yourself because you're precious and you matter. Talk soon.